This is the Indiana Line 550. This particular speaker is part of Indiana Line's Nota range, which is part of their entry-level introduction to the brand. And the Nota is the sort of characteristic floor stander from that particular range. The range itself also has a couple of different speakers and centers, so you can create a home cinema. But in this particular episode, we're going to focus on the 550, which, as mentioned, is the signature floor stander of this Nota range. Now, this is a really interesting little loudspeaker, a very compact design, and like we sort of mentioned in a couple of other videos, Indiana Line are very well tailored into becoming a kind of user-friendly, open brand that really tries to get itself into as many homes as possible by making a really affordable, very user-friendly, compact, generally sort of designs, because their goal is that you don't need to have something really big, massive and extravagant that sort of 90% of people can't actually accommodate in their homes. They make something that can really sort of pack a punch, create a really strong and a visual presence in a room, both sonically and visually. And as I say, they have done that once again with the Nota series being one of the more affordable sort of speakers in what is already a very sort of openly available brand, so to speak. So let's talk about some of the features of the Nota 550 speaker. Let's talk about first impressions and we'll talk about the visuals. The Nota 550 comes in two distinctive finishes. We have a wood finish here, and then they also come in a full black version. Both of the finishes feature a front and top black panel, and then depending on which finish that you pick from there, you can either have this distinctive light walnut that we have presented here, or they also have a full black version as well. One thing to note is that the black finish in this particular pair are a black oak, so you still get a very slight sort of wood texture on the side. So depending on your aesthetic that you have for your home, if you have possibly a slightly more retro aesthetic, I think this walnut will suit a lot of people. If you're something with a little bit more contemporary, a little bit more modern, you possibly might like the all black finish. But again, plenty of photos and visuals to show off what the two different finishes look like. And from there, I think the options that they give really help people make you know, a good choice of what sort of speaker they would want. Going on from that, you can see right off the front here that we have a soft tone tweeter, and then we have a mid and regular woofer. Both of these come in at 135 millimeter. So again, you get a really nice balanced sound. You get a nice bass with the woofer itself and some nice mids here. And then again, one of the other things you'll notice is that they are front ported. So one of the decisions for making them front ported came from Indiana Line was that they wanted these to be really easy to set up. They wanted these to accommodate for a lot of people. So depending on where you want to put this in a room, whether it's a slightly difficult room, whether you have a lot of other furniture and things to accommodate, these are really comfortable, can go in a lot of places. The recommendation from Indiana Line is that these can go sort of anywhere from about a 12 meter squared room up to 20. So again, they really can fill a space. They can have a really good presence, and it's a really impressive feature bearing in mind the sort of arguably very small compact design of them. Now, the speaker we have up on a stand at the minute, so it's a little bit misleading in terms of its height. This one here is a little more accurate to the level, so I'm not the tallest fellow in the world, but they come up to roughly about my waist, which comes in at about 88 centimeters. So you get a rough idea there of the kind of size you get with these particular speakers as well. As you can see in this speaker as well, you can see that they do come with a grill as well, so you can protect the soft tone tweeter and the woofers as well. So again, if you're somebody who has pets, maybe smaller children, it's a nice feature to have. They just simply plug in to the slots on the speaker right there. So nice and easy to take in and off if you want to clean, if you want to check things, if you want to you know, remove the grill at any point. But it's nice that you have that option right off the bat to choose if you want this more open design, or again, you can have the grill, but of course, like most speakers, the grill doesn't have any effect on the sonic performance of the speakers whatsoever. So, as I mentioned, these are a really impressive little loudspeaker which can really pack a lot of punch, especially for their price point. So, talking about that very briefly, these come in at £500. It's a really, really competitive price, especially in sort of a time where everything seems to be going up. Indiana Line have done a really impressive thing where they've kept the price really nice and sort of grounded, so to speak. It's actually, it's a lot of speaker for that kind of price. You know, as I've sort of mentioned, has a really strong visual presence, which again, even for that money, it's kind of hard to find these days. But obviously the sonic performance is really impressive. And as I mentioned, these are one of the more common speakers that they utilize in a sort of home cinema setup. So as I mentioned, this does come with a accommodating pair of bookshelf speakers and a center, you know, which we'll probably talk about in another video. But as I mentioned, these work really, really well if you want a very budget-friendly home cinema system. And the 550s are a really key part of that. As I mentioned as well, you know, you get a really strong bass presence with these, and you get that nice front port again, just pushing that sound out towards you, which is really good. But because it's front ported, you don't have a lot of issues trying to get them set up in a room. And again, having the mid with alongside the tweeter, again, you get some really nice sort of mid and highs. So they do a lot, especially for the price. They're a very impressive sort of type of speaker, and honestly, I think they'll suit a lot of people. Indiana Line are really well aimed at being a speaker that suit an awful lot of people. And this particular pair, I think, suit people who maybe don't have an awful lot of money to invest in a hi-fi system right now, or possibly people who are just getting into hi-fi. Maybe you're just someone who's been out of the industry for a little bit of time, or maybe you're just someone who's trying to get into it. So I think especially for people like students and things like that, I think these are going to suit so many people, and they're just a really impressive little speaker that sound really nice and warm, with just enough sort of a clinical sound that you can really you know, get some really accurate sound reproduction from them. So in terms of your music choices, whether you want to blast out so heavy rock, or you want to go a little bit more classical, these can work really, really well depending on what you're going for. They are the entry-level floor standards of the Indiana Line range, so they do have a couple of other series above it. So if you want a slightly more distinguished sound, a little bit more, just really a higher level above that, there is a couple of other speakers you can go for. But if you want to dip your toe in, or again, you just want a really budget-friendly option, the Nota is a really impressive one, and I think it's really worth considering if you're in that sort of zone of speaker right now. Get some really nice terminals at the back there. You don't have the option to buy wire this particular pair, but that's something that you will see in the later editions of Indiana Line. But as I say, for most people, especially at this sort of price point, they're going to do everything that you need them to, and then some. Yeah, they're really impressive, is basically the sort of tagline of the video that I'm going to go for, because they can do what a lot of speakers above their price point can do, without feeling any real difference in quality or performance. You know, they really do punch above their weight, I think, is probably the best way to put it. Probably the simplest way to put it, because with their microgroove woofer system, which they describe themselves as like CD-like, is the word they use. You know, you get this really nice explosive sound out of them. You get a really nice resonance with them that really makes a kind of very realistic sound, and something that's very natural and very like that of an artist. Again, so depending on the type of music that you will be listening to, you'll hear that a little bit more obviously, and so on and so forth, depending on what you're going for. But as I say, the Notas are very impressive. They're sort of cute, compact, and sound good, and I think honestly that is really what a lot of people are looking for. And generally speaking, whenever you're looking at speaker design, you know, you kind of come up with there's sort of three main factors you could head on. It's the price, the physical sort of size and presence, and then obviously sound quality. Normally, as you go up speaker ranges, you generally can get two, but not all three. You normally have to sacrifice something. So, you know, if you want something that sounds good and is really big in presence, it normally costs a lot of money. You know, if you want something that's cheaper, it normally can't quite maybe do the sound quality or the visuals. But the Nota is one of those sort of little anomalies that it kind of does all three very, very well, and almost a little too well, so to speak. It's kind of strange to think that these are only the price that they are. But that's part of what makes Indiana Line such an impressive brand, and honestly what makes them such a big seller. And as I mentioned, I think these are going to be a speaker that are going to really interests a lot of people out there. I think it's one that will suit an awful lot of people. As I said, these are the Nota 550s, a really impressive speaker from Indiana Line, and overall, they are a really impressive choice and something that I would highly recommend you take a look at, see the details of. And of course, if you want to know any more about them, if you have any questions in specific, please feel free to let us know. Feel free to comment on this video below, or fire us a message. More than happy to chat with you guys, try and point out a few key factors or anything you may want to know, anything very specific about them. Because ultimately, I think these are going to be a really top choice for a lot of people.